It began as a whisper, then the world tore open. For months, people across the world reported strange lights over the oceans. They came without pattern, without sound, but with purpose. Governments blamed satellites, meteor showers, auroras, until the first crater appeared in Nevada. At 2:14 a.m., sensors at a private mining company recorded an energy pulse so strong it fried every circuit within a 50-mile radius. By dawn, drones showed a hole nearly 2 kilometers wide, shimmering with molten glass. And at the center, a perfect spiral carved deep into the earth, pulsing like a heartbeat. The world watched in disbelief. Then came the second sight, and the third. Within a week, 43 craters appeared across the planet, every one near known gold deposits. It wasn't random. Someone was mining Earth. Scientists scrambled for answers. Theories swirled. Rogue AI, secret nations, even underground volcanoes. But none could explain the magnetic signatures. Not of this world. By the 10th day, a live satellite feed caught it. A shape descending through the clouds, sleek, black, and vast, like a fragment of night carved into steel. It hovered over the Andes for less than 5 minutes. Then, with surgical precision, it fired a beam of light that melted through mountain rock like butter. When the light faded, another spiral glowed below. The world was no longer silent. The United Nations convened an emergency summit. Every major power sent their brightest minds and sharpest soldiers. The term unidentified extraterrestrial extraction replaced incident. And for the first time in human history, we knew we weren't alone. But they weren't here to talk. Satellite arrays confirmed that the ships weren't orbiting. They were entering the atmosphere, harvesting, and leaving, each time faster, cleaner, more efficient. Humanity was being mined. Then came Operation Sovereign Earth. Every military power joined forces under one directive: stop them. Dozens of fighter squadrons took to the skies. The aliens didn't respond to hails, warnings, or threats. When the first missiles were launched, the world held its breath. They didn't explode. Every projectile simply stopped mid-air, frozen, then disassembled atom by atom before the pilot's eyes. The return fire came a second later. A single pulse, silent, invisible, and an entire carrier fleet went dark. Thousands vanished without a trace. Not even debris floated on the waves. But humans didn't surrender. They adapted. They always did. Weeks later, on a dusty plain in Arizona, something finally went wrong for them. A smaller craft crashed after a sandstorm disrupted its anti-grav field. The impact left a burning trail for miles. By the time special forces reached it, the ship's hull was cracked open like a shell. Inside, they found something none of them expected. Not a monster, but a being. Tall, slender, bioluminescent veins under pale skin. Eyes like molten silver, and fear. She wasn't here to conquer. She was lost. A survivor. The soldiers bound her wrists with carbon fiber restraints, their weapons trembling. For the first time, humanity had captured an alien. She tried to speak, not in sound, but in light. Patterns rippled through her skin like coded emotion. Every color shimmered between warning and sorrow. The linguists wouldn't understand for weeks, but the meaning was simple. You shouldn't have touched me. Governments hid the news. But secrets don't survive long in a burning world. Rumors spread like wildfire. Photos, whispers, leaked videos of a star girl being transported in armored convoys. People filled the streets demanding answers. Some called her a prisoner. Others, a weapon. In the middle of it all, the alien girl sat behind glass, eyes closed, glowing faintly like starlight in water. One scientist, Dr. Hayes, recorded his thoughts on the 19th night of containment. She's terrified, not of us, but for us. That same night, every seismic detector on Earth registered a signal. Not from above, but from deep space. A frequency that echoed through every layer of the atmosphere. Rippling through oceans, through bone, through dreams. Somewhere beyond the edge of our solar system, something massive was moving. Every telescope on Earth caught the same sight. A fleet, hundreds of colossal vessels, emerging from folds in the void, each one large enough to eclipse a city. The alien girl opened her eyes and whispered, her voice like a trembling chime. "They are coming." Panic swept across nations. Defense grids activated. Satellites fell silent one by one as interference blanketed the planet. The stars dimmed under the shadows of approaching ships. Dr. Hayes stood by the observation glass, looking at the girl. "Can we reason with them?" he asked. "No," she said quietly. "You hurt one of their own. We were defending our home, and now they defend theirs." At 3:42 a.m., global communications failed. Moments later, the sky split open. They didn't invade. They didn't speak. They simply descended, 1,000 ships blotting out the sun, and began rewriting Earth's surface in fire. Cities vanished. Oceans boiled. Every resistance was erased with surgical precision. It wasn't war. It was retrieval. By dawn, nothing of the world humanity once knew remained. Only ruins glowing beneath an alien sky. Somewhere above, aboard one of the Leviathan ships, the alien girl stood between her rescuers and the view of a burning Earth. Tears, or something like them, rolled down her luminous face. "They feared you," she whispered. "Now they will remember you." The final broadcast from Dr. Hayes' bunker reached orbit before the pulse erased everything. "If anyone ever hears this, we were here. We fought. We learned what it means to matter, even for a moment. Humanity wasn't erased. It was witnessed. Then silence. The world ended. But the story of humanity had just begun. When a species dies, the universe does not mourn. But sometimes one of its killers does. Silence. That was all that remained of Earth. A silence so absolute, it seemed to echo through the void itself. Where oceans once shimmered, there were fields of glass. Where cities reached for the heavens, only drifting ash and orbiting debris remained. From the cold darkness above, an alien ship glided through the wreckage. Its hull bore the insignia of the Zereth Dominion, the same empire that had mined Earth's gold and reclaimed their lost one. Inside, the halls hummed with alien light, pulsating veins of silver and indigo. And at the heart of that massive ship stood her, the girl humanity had captured, now returned to her people. Her name, though untranslatable, was rendered in human phonetics as Illyra. Illyra stood before a window of energy glass, gazing down at the broken world. It should have been a victory, the recovery of a lost envoy, the elimination of a defiant species. Yet her luminous eyes didn't reflect triumph. They reflected grief. She remembered faces, human soldiers shouting in fear, children staring at her through screens, the man named Dr. Hayes, whose voice had trembled when he said, "We were defending our home." No one on this ship would understand what those words meant. But she did. Behind her, the door opened with a whisper of light. A tall figure entered. Commander Sarex Vale, her guardian and interrogator. Illyra of the lower wing. His voice resonated like steel wrapped in smoke. "Your mission was compromised. The Council demands your statement before cleansing protocols begin." "Cleansing?" she asked, turning to him. "They have already been erased." "Not entirely. Their signals linger. We will dismantle the fragments." He gestured to the starlit monitors behind her, remnants of human transmissions. Music, data, whispers of resistance bouncing across space. Sarex watched her reaction carefully. "You pity them. They were alive," she said softly, "and afraid. We made them that way. They attacked you first, because we took from them." Her voice broke into patterns of silver light across her skin, sorrow encoded in color. Sarex frowned. "You've absorbed their emotion. Maybe that's what makes us less than them," she whispered. "They felt before they acted." Deep in the ship's archive core, the Dominion began extracting the planet's remaining gold reserves through matter disintegration fields. To them, gold wasn't currency. It was memory, a quantum conductor for preserving consciousness across their vast network. Every species they harvested became part of their continuum, absorbed and cataloged, erased and immortalized. But humanity's signal resisted. Their electromagnetic pulses carried interference, irregular, chaotic frequencies that defied assimilation. The continuum couldn't process emotion that raw. Sarex brought this anomaly to the council. Their resonance contaminates the memory stream, he reported. We risk corruption. The response was clear. Then purge it. But Alira intervened. If you purge them, their essence is lost forever. Their defiance, their will. That is what makes them dangerous, but also what makes them alive. The chamber flickered uneasily. The high voices debated in frequencies too fast for sound. Finally, they replied, "You have been tainted by the primitive mind. You will be observed." She bowed in silence, but inside, something human burned. That night cycle, Alira returned to the viewport again. She touched the cold glass and whispered, not in Zerith, but in English, words she had learned during captivity. "We are the anomaly." Her reflection stared back, half light, half shadow. Behind her, the stars shifted as the fleet prepared to fold back into hyperspace. But before the jump, a flicker appeared in the sensor field. Faint, rhythmic, impossible. A signal coming from the remains of Earth. Sarex noticed it too. Residual energy? No, she said slowly. A message. The frequency pulsed with a pattern too deliberate to be random. Every few seconds, a short burst, then a pause, then another. Old Earth Morse code. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. Sarex's face darkened. Impossible. Nothing survived. Something did, Alira said, voice trembling with light. Someone's calling. He turned away. It's noise. We leave in 2 clicks. But Alira didn't move. As the engines warmed, she reached toward the control console and overrode the jump sequence for her chamber. The ship shuddered slightly, unnoticed by most, as she redirected a small drone vessel toward the signal's origin. The drone descended through ash clouds, gliding over the molten remains of continents. Its sensors searched through electromagnetic chaos until it found the source, deep beneath the Pacific Trench in what was once a research facility. A dome still stood intact, powered by a single flickering generator. Inside, a heartbeat, faint but human. Alira's breath caught. They're alive. The feed blurred, static drowning half the image, but one thing was clear, a human figure moving through the dark, dragging a beacon cable to a transmitter. His face scarred, his clothes torn, eyes burning with defiance. "Dr. Hayes." "Ow," she whispered. He looked up at the camera feed, saw her reflection through the static, and smiled weakly. "Told you," he said, voice faint. "We don't die easy." The transmission cut out as the ship jumped. Alira stood frozen, trembling. Behind her, Sarex entered, suspicion sharp in his voice. "What did you see?" "Echoes," she lied. "Nothing remains." But deep within her chest, the light patterns pulsed irregularly. A heartbeat she no longer knew was hers or theirs. Far below, the last bunker lights flickered across a ruined world. Dr. Hayes activated a data capsule, a golden sphere of his own making, and recorded his voice. "If you find this, whoever you are, tell them humanity isn't gone. We've adapted. We've learned from the death world they made for us. And one day, we'll find them." He looked up at the endless black sky. Void Protocol begins now. He launched the capsule into orbit, its golden shell reflecting the glow of alien fire above. The signal pulsed once, twice, then disappeared into the void. Alira watched that same faint pulse appear again on her private display. For the first time since Earth burned, she smiled. Not like her kind, but like them. "They're coming back," she whispered. And beyond the stars, something ancient and human stirred. Extinction was never the end. It was the reset. The year was no longer counted. Calendars meant nothing on a world of ash and storms. Earth had become a scar, a fractured shell orbiting a silent sun. The alien fleets had come and gone, leaving behind twisted ruins and endless radiation storms that danced across the shattered horizon. And yet, something still moved in the dark. Beneath miles of scorched rock, in the remnants of a forgotten Pacific research base, humanity clung to survival. Power flickered through cables built decades before the invasion. Old, corroded, but still working, still human. Dr. Elias Hayes, survivor of the fall, stood in front of a cracked monitor, eyes hollow, but burning with purpose. The signal he'd sent, the SOS that reached the alien ship, had drained nearly all remaining power, but it had worked. Someone had heard it. He didn't know who. He didn't care. It meant there was still a link between the dead world and the stars. And that meant hope. There were fewer than 200 survivors in his bunker. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians, all bound by one unspoken oath. Humanity doesn't end here. They called themselves the Echoes. Their lives were brutal. They scavenged old storage units for synthetic food, filtered acid rain into drinkable water, and hid from the sky whenever the clouds pulsed red, a sign that alien drones were scanning for residual life. At night, when the storms raged and thunder felt like the voice of angry gods, they gathered in the command chamber. Dr. Hayes would speak softly to them, voice echoing through the dust and metal. We were born on a world that tried to kill us every day. Now we're just doing what humans have always done, adapting. A murmur of tired smiles would pass through the group. Adaptation, their curse and their gift. 2 months after the purge, they found her. Corporal Mira Solis, former recon pilot, discovered a humanoid body half buried in a collapsed shaft. It was not human. Pale skin, faintly glowing veins, and a shattered breathing mask. An alien soldier left behind. When Hayes arrived, the alien's chest still rose faintly, each breath ragged. Every instinct screamed to leave it. But curiosity or madness won. "Don't touch it," Mira warned. "They burned the world for one of their own." "Exactly," Hayes replied. "Let's see why." They brought the body inside. Hours later, the alien awoke. He was called Vane, or something close enough to pronounce. His first reaction was pure terror. He tried to crawl away, but his wounds forced him still. Hayes offered water. Vane stared at it, confused. "You help?" He rasped through the translator. "You killed billions," Mira spat. "Not me," he whispered. "I followed orders. You would have done the same." That silence that followed was heavy. Because he was right. War wasn't personal. It never had been. It was survival on a cosmic scale. Over the next few days, Vane spoke more. He explained things Hayes could barely comprehend. The Zereth Dominion, their hierarchy, their purpose. To them, Earth was nothing but a resource node. The gold they mined wasn't greed, it was necessity. It powered something called the Continuum, a galactic network where minds could live forever. A machine built to prevent extinction. "We harvest to preserve," Vane said. "You destroyed life to save memory," Hayes replied. "You call that preservation?" Vane didn't answer. Weeks passed. The survivors began to rebuild small systems. Filtration, light comms. The bunker began to hum with a faint spark of life again. Hayes spent his nights decoding the remains of alien transmissions that lingered in the atmosphere. What he found chilled him. Elira's voice. Faint, fragmented, repeating a single human phrase. "We are the anomaly." He replayed it hundreds of times, analyzing every frequency. Was it a warning? A memory? Or a message? Mira thought it was a trick. "She's one of them. Maybe she's marking us." "Maybe," Hayes said. "Or maybe she's trying to reach us." He didn't say the rest. That he remembered the way she'd looked at him through the glass before the end. The sorrow in her eyes wasn't alien at all. Outside, the world began to change. The radiation storms lessened. Strange plant life grew through the ash, crystalline vines that shimmered like molten glass. Vane said it was terraform residue, a byproduct of the Dominion's machines. But Hayes suspected something deeper. Humanity's DNA was adapting. Even in extinction, evolution had begun rewriting itself. One night, a patrol unit stumbled upon a crashed Dominion drone, its memory core still intact. Inside were maps, stellar charts, Dominion outposts, coordinates from mining systems across the galaxy, and one labeled Acheron. Hayes froze when he read it. The name echoed in his dreams, though he didn't know why. Acheron, the death world they'd once called myth. Maybe, he thought, humanity wasn't the first to face this fate. With the drone data, Hayes began assembling what he called the protocol. Not just a signal, a pathway, a plan to leave Earth, to follow the Dominion's trail back through the stars. It was suicide. It was madness. But it was also the only thing that made sense. If we stay here, we fade, he told the Echoes. If we go after them, we matter. We can't even reach orbit, Mira argued. Then we'll build something that can. Vane listened quietly. When Hayes finished, the alien looked at him and said, "You sound like Lyra." "Who?" "The one they came to save. She was here. She is different. She spoke of you." Hayes's blood ran cold. If that was true, then humanity wasn't forgotten. Something out there still remembered them. Weeks turned to months. The Echoes rebuilt engines, pieced together shuttles from alien wreckage, and crafted weapons from scavenged Dominion cores. Every success came with loss, radiation sickness, collapsed tunnels, infighting, but they endured. Hayes wrote in his journal, "We were once miners, soldiers, wanderers. Now, we are architects of our resurrection. The stars took everything from us, so we'll take them back." Above, in the endless dark, a single Dominion sensor drone detected faint power fluctuations beneath Earth's crust. It transmitted a signal, and far away, in the halls of the Zereth Dominion fleet, Lyra received it. She stared at the data, human frequencies, pulse patterns, and a single encrypted line of code repeating endlessly. Void Protocol, Phase 1. Her hands trembled as the light within her flared bright. They survived, and for the first time in the Dominion's long, cold history, one of their own smiled. "They're coming," she whispered to the stars. "And we deserve it." In the ashes of silence, a whisper became a weapon. Deep beneath the ruins of the Pacific Trench, the last heartbeat of humanity pulsed in electric rhythm. Cables hummed. Consoles blinked. For the first time since Earth's fall, the signal had power. Dr. Elias Hayes stood before the cracked command screen, his face bathed in the dim blue glow. Lines of alien code scrolled like a river of stars. This was the culmination of months of scavenging, rebuilding, and decoding. "If this works," Hayes murmured, "we'll speak to the stars again. And if it doesn't," Mira Solis asked, arms crossed, rifle slung low, "then the stars will know we tried." He pressed the switch. A low vibration rippled through the base. Antennae buried deep in volcanic rock came alive, broadcasting a pulse of raw electromagnetic energy. The signal carried humanity's new signature, Void Protocol, Phase 2. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a declaration. Far above, in the void between systems, a Dominion listening outpost caught the pulse. Normally, such noise would be filtered, tagged, and deleted within nanoseconds. But this one was different. It resonated. The pulse traveled through layers of the continuum, slipping between encrypted channels until it reached one listener, Lyra. Inside her private chamber aboard the flagship Asterion, Lyra paused mid-cycle as her console flashed. Origin, Earth. Message, Void Protocol /Phase 2/active. Her heart, or the luminous construct that passed for it, tightened. "They're alive," she whispered. The room's ambient light flickered with her emotional surge. Moments later, Commander Serex entered, his presence cutting through the glow. "You rerouted energy again," he said flatly. "Routine calibration," she replied too quickly. "You're lying, Lyra." He stepped closer. His metallic eyes reflected her image like a mirror made of judgment. "The Council watches. They think you sympathize with them." "I study them," she corrected. "There's a difference. Not to the Dominion." He leaned in. "If they truly survived, the Council will finish what it began. Then maybe they'll learn what humanity truly is," she said softly. On Earth, the signal's success came with a cost. The energy surge drained half their reserves and exposed their location to orbit. A warning siren echoed through the bunker as Myra's scanners lit up. "We got incoming, high atmosphere." "They heard us." "Good," Hayes said. "Then let's make it count." Above the planet, a single Dominion recon probe re-entered orbit, scanning the crust with precision beams. Its data core streamed directly to Lyra's terminal. She hesitated only a moment before corrupting the feed. Her fingers danced across the console, injecting false coordinates and atmospheric noise. To the Dominion, Earth now looked empty, lifeless. She exhaled, a flicker of satisfaction glowing across her skin. But Sarex noticed the irregularity later that cycle. He studied her code, silent, thoughtful. He didn't report it. Not yet. Meanwhile, inside the bunker, Hayes gathered the echoes. The signal had reached the stars, but survival was still fragile. He placed a hand on the drone core recovered from the Dominion wreckage. Inside it was a navigational drive, damaged but potentially reparable. This drive holds coordinates to every system they've mined, he said. If we can repair it, we can find their worlds. You want to take the fight to them? Mira asked. No, Hayes said. I want to remind them that humanity remembers. From the back of the room, the wounded alien Vane watched quietly. You cannot reach them, he said. Their stars are guarded. Their space folds in on itself. Then we'll unfold it, Hayes replied. You think like her, Vane whispered. Like who? Alira, the one who glows. She spoke of rebuilding what was broken. Hayes stared at him, realization dawning. She's still alive. In orbit, Alira stared at the holographic projection of Earth, now marked as non-viable. She overlaid a private subfrequency onto the human broadcast channel and began transmitting in bursts of coded light. The message was short, translated roughly into the crude structure of human language. You are seen. You're not alone. They watch. Prepare. The signal reached the bunker hours later, a whisper amid static. When Hayes decoded it, his pulse quickened. Someone up there just talked back. Mira frowned. Could be a trap. Or it's her, Hayes said. And if it's her, she's risking everything. They decided to answer. For 3 nights, Alira and the survivors exchanged ghost transmissions, flashes of binary sound, hidden beneath cosmic noise. Through those fragmented words, they built a fragile bridge between extinction and empathy. Hayes learned that the Dominion's continuum wasn't just data, it was consciousness itself. Every life absorbed fed their collective memory, and something inside that network was stirring, something even the Dominion feared. They built a god, Alira transmitted, and it wants more than memory. Then we'll stop it, Hayes sent back. You can't, but you can change it. Those were the last words before silence. The next day, a blinding tremor shook the earth. The bunker wall screamed as light poured through the cracks. Outside, the storm clouds parted to reveal a column of energy descending from orbit. Not an attack, but a beacon. Mira stared up, shielding her eyes. What the hell is that? Hayes whispered, a doorway. The beacon wasn't aimed at them. It was searching, scanning for coordinates. Hayes realized with horror that their transmissions had revealed more than he intended. They're coming, he said. Not for us, for the signal. He sprinted to the command panel and began rerouting power. If we can invert the pulse, we can turn their beacon into a bridge. A bridge to where? Mira shouted. To wherever they came from. The plan was reckless. Brilliant. Human. They activated the reactor. The chamber filled with light as the pulse reversed polarity. For a heartbeat, the sky itself twisted, the stars bent inward, and a crack appeared in the void. On the Asterian, alarm screamed. Sarek stormed into Alira's chamber. You did this, he roared. They did this, she said calmly. I only gave them the key. Through the viewport, both watched as Earth's atmosphere flared, creating a wormhole of gold and blue. The Dominion ships began to reposition. Too slow. The rift stabilized for 6 seconds, enough for one thing to pass through. A probe, built from human hands, powered by alien tech. It vanished into the void beyond the Dominion's reach. Hayes smiled through the chaos. Phase 3, he whispered. We're coming for you. In the silence that followed, the rift closed. Earth fell still again, but the signal had changed the galaxy. Far away, deep within the continuum's core, something awakened. It repeated 2 words across every frequency known to the Dominion. Human anomaly detected. Alira stared at the message, her glow flickering between awe and fear. "They found you," she whispered. "And now nothing in the galaxy will ever be the same." Sometimes, survival isn't a victory. It's a declaration of intent. The wormhole was gone. The rift had collapsed. But what passed through it, that tiny human probe, had already become legend. Days bled into weeks as the survivors rebuilt in the bunker. The air smelled of metal and ash, the hum of generators constant. Dr. Elias Hayes hadn't slept in 3 nights. His eyes were bloodshot, fixed on the flickering console where the probe's last transmission looped again and again. Signal stable. Trajectory unknown. Mission deliver memory. Humanity's story had left Earth, and that alone made the endless loss feel almost justified. Mira Solis entered the control room, her face drawn with exhaustion, but her voice steady. The sensors picked up activity near the upper atmosphere again. Same energy pattern as before. Dominion? No. Something else. Something listening. Far across the stars, in the Dominion's capital system, Karenis, the pulse of the human signal rippled through the continuum like a heartbeat out of sync. What should have been static became shape, language, defiance. Alira watched the holographic feed alongside Commander Sarex. The Dominion Council gathered in silent outrage. Their massive, luminous figures loomed above the chamber. "A human signal has penetrated the void," one counselor hissed. "They have breached sacred channels. Their world is nothing but ash," another replied. "How can the dead speak?" Alira's voice was quiet but firm. "Because they don't die like we do. They adapt. They endure." Her words earned her a cold stare from the council. "You sympathize with them," the elder said. "I understand them," she corrected. "And you fear what you understand." Sarex's jaw tightened, torn between loyalty and belief. The council's decision came swift. Find the source. Erase the anomaly. Send the fleets. Alira's hands clenched. The war for the void had begun, and it was her fault. On Earth, Hayes monitored faint signals, echoes of Dominion transmissions distorted by the wormhole's residue. He decoded fragments of the orders. Search, neutralize, silence. "They're coming again," he said, turning to Mira. "We can't fight them," she replied. "No, but we can mislead them." He activated what remained of the Void Protocol core, the ancient alien relay he'd rebuilt from scrap. Its function wasn't just communication. It could clone signals, reflect them across multiple coordinates. If they could mimic the probe's signal from thousands of phantom locations, the Dominion would never know which direction to attack. "You're turning Earth into a ghost," Mira said. "No," Hayes said, smiling faintly. "A legend." Meanwhile, Alira made her choice. If the Dominion fleets found Earth again, they would burn every trace, including the humans who still clung to life. She accessed restricted channels, rewriting her orders. Her ship, Asterion, began rerouting course, not to Earth, but to intercept the fleets themselves. Her AI companion warned her softly. "Deviation detected. Command override unauthorized." "Authorization granted," she whispered. "By conscience." The ship obeyed. Hours later, in the black gulf between stars, the Dominion Armada advanced. Hundreds of warforms shimmering like silver daggers. Alira's lone vessel drifted into their path. Sarex's voice echoed over the comms. "You would betray us for them?" "I would save us from ourselves," she answered. "Then you're already lost." The Asterian's weapons powered down. Instead, Alira opened her channel wide, broadcasting the human pulse unfiltered, raw. The Dominion ships paused. The signal flooded their systems, a torrent of memory, sound, and pain. Within seconds, their shared continuum was infected by emotion, something alien to them. Fear, hope, grief. Across the network, ships faltered. Some broke formation. Others turned on each other, as the human signal whispered through their minds. "You try to bury us. You forgot we are the fire." Back on Earth, Hay saw the sudden drop in Dominion frequencies. "Something's happening," he said. "Their network is fracturing." "A counterattack?" Mira asked. "No, it's interference. Someone's helping us." The signal's pattern matched one he'd seen before, Illyris. He closed his eyes and whispered, "You're out there." The Dominion Council's core mind began to fracture. What had once been a seamless intelligence now pulsed with chaos. The continuum tried to isolate the infection, but emotion had no firewall. Alira's body trembled under the strain. Her ship's core overheated, alarms screaming as she continued transmitting. Sarex appeared on the final transmission, eyes burning with fury and sorrow. "You've doomed us all." "No," Alira gasped. "I've given us something your gods never could, a soul." The transmission cut. The Asterian vanished into the storm. For a brief moment across the galaxy, silence. Then awakening. A single Dominion ship, its crew fully absorbed by emotion, refused its recall orders. Others followed. A rebellion, small, chaotic, began to spread. The galaxy was no longer united under the Dominion. Hayes stared at the sky through a broken dome. "She did it," he whispered. Mira nodded slowly. "Then maybe this isn't the end." Far beyond reach, within the shimmering ocean of the continuum, a fragment of light drifted, a spark of consciousness that refused to fade. Alira's voice, faint and resolute. "Humanity, I carried your fire into the stars. Now, the galaxy will burn with it." The screen faded to black. The war for the void had only just begun. From the ruins of extinction, we learned how to begin again. The sky over Earth was no longer silent. For the first time since the Dominion's wrath, there were lights, not of destruction, but of rebirth. Broken satellites and orbiting debris shimmered as if caught in a cosmic dawn. Dr. Elias Hayes stood on the bunker roof, watching the horizon bleed gold through the haze. The air was thin, heavy with radiation, but still breathable. It smelled like dust, iron, and hope. "It's changing," Mira said beside him. "Yeah," Hayes replied, eyes fixed upward. "So are we." Down below, the survivors gathered around the main terminal, the last working screen on the planet. A coded signal pulsed from orbit. Not Dominion, not human. Something in between. Hayes decoded it slowly, line by line. When a message appeared, no one spoke for a long time. "We are the fractured. We remember the fire. We seek sanctuary." Mira exhaled. "There, Dominion ships?" Hayes nodded. "Defectors. The ones she freed." The signal continued, showing coordinates. Not on Earth, but on the far edge of the solar system. Near the shattered moon fragments, something waited. They took the risk. A rebuilt transport. A fusion of human metal and Dominion scraps. Launched from the bunker's makeshift pad, piercing through the thinning clouds. As they ascended, the scarred planet receded behind them. Mira whispered a quiet prayer. Hayes focused on the navigation readout. The coordinates glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with the old human signal, the Void Protocol itself. Hours later, they reached the source. Suspended among the moon's remains drifted a massive structure, an alien vessel torn open from battle, its core still pulsing faint blue. Dominion markings scarred its hull. But something else shone through, human symbols painted in rough strokes, names, initials, and a single phrase. "We endure." They approached carefully. The ship's airlock opened as if expecting them. Inside, the corridors were alive with strange light, not Dominion silver, but a softer hue, almost warm. Figures emerged, Dominion in form, but altered. Their armor bore cracks of glowing gold. Their eyes shimmered with emotion. They had changed. "You are human," one of them said, voice melodic but uncertain. "And you?" Mira asked. "We are what she made us, the ones who remember her voice." Hay stepped forward. "Alira," the lead figure nodded. "Her code lives within us. She showed us choice and consequence. We cannot return to the Dominion." In the ship's core chamber, they found the impossible, a fusion of technologies. Human circuits merged with alien organic fiber, forming a pulsating sphere of light. At its center, Alira's voice echoed, fragmented but alive. "Hayes, Mira, Alira," he whispered. "Is that you?" "Part of me. The rest is scattered through the continuum." Her holographic form flickered, pale blue, faintly smiling. I carried your memory into the void. Now it carries me. Hey, step closer, awed. You infected their network. No, she said softly. I gave them humanity. The light around her pulsed. They will come again. The council will rebuild. You must move beyond this world. We don't have ships, Mira said. You do now, Illyra replied. The fractured Dominion, now calling themselves the Fray, offered alliance. They could rebuild a fleet, not for conquest, but for survival. Hayes looked around the alien chamber, feeling the weight of what this moment meant. A new beginning, he said, or the start of another war, Mira muttered. Both, Illyra answered. Creation always burns before it builds. Days turned into weeks. Humans and Fray worked side by side, merging tools, languages, and hearts. For the first time, alien laughter echoed in human ears, strange, melodic, almost like music. The first hybrid ship, built of human steel and alien energy, rose from the lunar wreckage. Hayes named it the Dawnfire. To light the dark, he said. Illyra's fading voice guided them one last time through the ship's interlink. Beyond the veil of Karenis, you'll find the heart of the continuum. There, you'll learn what they truly fear. What is that? Hayes asked. Becoming you. Her light flickered, then vanished into the ship's core, absorbed into its systems like a guardian soul. The launch was quiet. No speeches, no ceremony, only determination. As the dawn fire ignited, its engines roared through the lunar void, cutting a golden path across the stars. Hayes stood at the viewport, Earth's distant glow reflected in his eyes. We were supposed to die here, Mira said. Maybe, he replied, but extinction isn't our story. The stars stretched ahead, infinite and waiting. Deep within the Dominion's capital, alarms sounded. The continuum core trembled. Across 1,000 worlds, ancient constructs stirred, and a voice, calm but cold, whispered through the network. Human anomaly expanding. Protocol breach escalating. Initiate containment war. The galaxy shuddered as the Dominion prepared for vengeance. But this time, humanity wouldn't face it alone. The Void remembers what it cannot destroy. End of Season 1.